Dear fellow truth seekers, thank you and welcome for visiting my channel, MythoReligio. MythoReligio is a series of books about religious comparison studies between the stories in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism and Buddhism, directly from their sacred books and world mythologies, hence the name MythoReligio. The purpose is to retrace the prehistory of humanity, since I am not fully satisfied with either the explanations from the point of view of creationists nor evolutionists. There are so many missing links in both explanations. If you feel the same, then you are on the right channel. In this book series, I will also analyze about the prehistory of humanity from the archaeological records, modern scientific point of view, and other alternative theories, such as the ancient alien theories and Atlantis or Lemuria legends. After thorough research of circa 30 years, I recognize many similarities between all religious stories and even mythologies, and surprisingly, some of them are in accordance or even beyond modern science that have been proven as correct. Thus, I came to the conclusion that all religions must have come from the same source. And all these religious stories and mythologies, although heavily jumbled up, are actually telling one mega story, the true prehistory of our common ancestors. This mega story is quite different than what we have been told to believe and will truly blow your mind, as it is more fascinating than our imagination. If you have watched the earlier videos in this channel, I believe you can see some of the similarities too. If you haven't and you truly want to do a religious comparative study, I suggest that you do so. The best way to do a comprehensive religious study via this channel is by watching the videos starting from number 1 and continue until this present video and so on. That way you will see a clear pattern. For deeper analysis that I cannot share in this platform due to its sensitive nature that leads to the above conclusion, kindly read the books that are available in ebook format that can be found in my website www.mythoreligio.com or the physical books at Amazon in color or black and white version. Dear fellow truth seekers, up from this video I will start sharing the myth-telling from the European continent that are similar to the Abrahamic religious stories and are significant for our comparison study. Europe is commonly considered to be separated from Asia by the watershed of the Ural Mountains in Russia, the Ural River border of Russia and Kazakhstan, the Caspian Sea, the Greater Caucasus, the border of Russia, Georgia and Azerbaijan, the Black Sea and the waterways of the Turkish Straits. Although much of this border is over land, Europe is generally accorded the status of a full continent because of its great physical size, although it is still the second smallest continent in the world after Australia, and the weight of its history and traditions. According to conventional history, the first well-known literate civilization in Europe was that of the Minoans, the first great Greek civilization. The Minoans didn't live on mainland Greece, but on the nearby island of Crete. The civilization began at between 2600 BCE up to 2200 BCE, date varies, and ended at circa 1450 BCE. There are countless Greek myths, and most of them are adopted by the Romans, modern-day Italians. In this video, I will start the storytelling of the Roman myth first before the Greeks. That is the myth of the founder of the city of Rome, that is believed to be a shepherd, demigod son of a Vestal virgin called Romulus. Greek historians had traditionally claimed that Rome was founded by the Greeks, a claim dating back to the chronicler Hellanicus of Lesbos of 5th century BCE, who named Aeneas as its founder. Aeneas was a demigod mythical hero from Troy, modern-day Turkey, mentioned in Iliad, one of the oldest literatures in Europe. I will tell some stories from the Iliad in one of my later videos. Roman historians connect the legendary founder of Rome, that is Romulus, to Aeneas by ancestry. Ancient historians had no doubt that Romulus gave his name to the city of Rome. However, most modern historians believe that it is the other way around. The birth of Rome is dated at 753 BCE. So let's begin with a story. Romulus and Remus. Numitor was a king of Alba Longa, an ancient city of Latium. Hence their language is called Latin language, in central Italy. Numitor has a son and a daughter called Rhea Silvia. Numitor's reign was usurped by his younger brother, Amulus. Amulus, wishing to avoid any conflict of power, killed Numitor's son and forced Rhea Silvia to become a Vestal virgin, rendering her unable to have children on pain of death. Vestal virgins were priestesses of Vesta, patron goddess of the hearth. They were charged with keeping a sacred fire that was never to be extinguished and to take vows of chastity. One day, Rhea Silvia went to a grove sacred to the war god Mars to get water for use in the temple, and she encountered Mars, who attempted to rape her. She ran into a cave to escape him, but to no avail. So, Rhea Silvia became pregnant and gave birth to two twin sons, Romulus and Remus. It was a custom that any Vestal virgin betraying her vows of celibacy was condemned to death, and King Amulus found out about it. However, King Amulus, fearing the wrath of Mars, did not wish to directly stain his hands with his niece and her son's blood. So King Amulus imprisoned Rhea Silvia and ordered the twins' death by means of live burial or being thrown into the river Tiber. He reasoned that if the twins were to die not by the sword but by the elements, he and his city would be saved from punishments by the gods. He ordered a servant to carry out the death sentence, but the servant took pity on the twins and spared their lives. So like biblical Moses, the twins were placed in a basket by the servant, who then put it onto the river Tiber, and the river carries the boys to safety. The river god Tiberinus ensured their safety by calming the river, and he caused the basket to catch in the roots of a nearby fig tree. The twins were first discovered by a she-wolf, or la lupa in Italian, who suckled them, and they were fed by a woodpecker. Eventually, they were discovered and cared for by a shepherd and his wife. The two boys grew up to be shepherds like their adoptive father. One day, while they were herding their sheep, they were met by shepherds of King Amulus. These shepherds started a fight with Romulus and Remus, in which Remus was captured and taken before King Amulus. Romulus gathered and incited a band of local shepherds to join him in rescuing his brother. King Amulus did not recognize Remus and Romulus, whom he believed were dead. Romulus freed his brother and in the process killed King Amulus and took control of the city. After Amulus' death, the brothers rejected the citizens' offer the crown of Alba Longa and instead reinstated Numitor, their grandfather, as king. Romulus and Remus left Alba Longa, seeking to found their own city, and each set out to find the best locale. The brothers quarreled over the location of the foundation of their new city. There are 7 hills located and surrounding in the would-be new city, namely Palatine, Capitoline, Quirinal, Viminal, Esquiline, Cillian, and Aventine. Romulus wished to start the city on the Palatine hill, while Remus wished to found it on the Aventine hill. In order to settle their disagreement, they agreed to consult augury. Augury is a type of prophecy in which birds are examined and observed to determine what actions or persons the gods favor. So each brother prepared a sacred space on their respective hills and began to watch for birds. Remus claimed to have seen 6 birds, while Romulus said he saw 12 birds. Romulus asserted that he was the clear winner by 12 birds, but Remus argued that since he saw his 6 birds first, he had won. The 2 brothers remained at a standstill and continued to quarrel until Romulus began to dig trenches and build walls around his hill, the Palatine Hill. In response to Romulus' construction, Remus made continuous fun of the wall and his brother's city. Remus was so bold as to jump over Romulus' wall jestingly. Romulus was angry to Remus' mockeries and for jumping over his wall. So, like the biblical Cain, Romulus killed his brother Remus after a competition to find out who was favored by the gods. Afterwards, Romulus mournfully buried his brother, bestowing upon him full funeral honors. Remus' death and founding of Rome from the name Romulus are dated to April 21st, 753 BCE. Rome's initial population was supplied by fugitives, exiles, runaway slaves, and criminals and other cast-offs. With Rome growing at such a steady rate in comparison to its neighbors, Romulus became concerned with maintaining the city's strength. His main concern was that, with few women inhabitants, there would be no chance of sustaining the city's population, without which Rome might not last longer than a generation. On the advice of the Senate, the Romans then set out into the surrounding regions in search of wives to establish families with. The Romans negotiated unsuccessfully with all the peoples that they appealed to, including the Sabines, who populated the neighboring areas. The Sabines feared the emergence of a rival society and refused to allow their women to marry the Romans. Consequently, the Romans devised a plan to abduct the Sabine women during the festival of Neptune Equestor, god of sea and horses. They planned and announced a festival of games to attract people from all the nearby towns. Many people from Rome's neighboring towns attended the festival, eager to see the newly established city for themselves. At the festival, Romulus gave a signal by rising and folding his cloak and then throwing it around him again, at which the Romans grabbed the Sabine women and fought off the Sabine men. In total, 30 Sabine women were abducted by the Romans at the festival and finally accepted their fate to marry the Romans. All of the women abducted at the festival were said to have been virgins except for one married woman, Hersilia, who became Romulus' wife. Outraged at what had happened, the Sabines declared war, led into battle by their king Titus Tatius. Tatius almost succeeded in capturing Rome, thanks to the treason of Tarpeia, a daughter of the Roman governor of the citadel on the Capitoline Hill. She opened the city gates for the Sabines to return for what they bore on their arms, thinking she would receive their golden bracelets. Instead, the Sabines crushed her to death with their shields, and her body was buried on or thrown over from a rock known ever since by her name, the Tarpeian Rock. The Romans attacked the Sabines, who now held the citadel. Romulus rallied his men, promising to build a temple to god Jupiter on the site. The Romans appeared to be winning. However, the Sabine women intervened and imploring their fathers on one side and their husbands on the other. The battle came to an end, and the Sabines agreed to unite in one nation with the Romans. Titus Tatius jointly ruled with Romulus until Tatius' death 5 years later, and Romulus became the sole king of Rome. When Numitor died, Romulus incorporated Alba Longa into Rome's government and lands. Then, at the age of 55, like the biblical Elijah, Romulus mysteriously disappeared in a storm or whirlwind. Romulus is claimed to have ascended to the heavens to become a god. Herewith, I'm ending this video. Next week, I will continue with the Greco-Roman myth, among others, about the creation of the world. Thank you for watching and hope to see you next week.